very funny guy, all the way from New York City, performs all over. Give up for my man, Ilya Laksin!
I like the song more than I like my own comedy, but we're gonna plow through this. All right, you guys enjoying your drinking and drugs? What are you guys up to? Are you guys do drugs? I don't do drugs. She might be a problem. I don't do, I'm not a big drug guy. Here's why I don't do drugs is like, when I was in elementary school, I remember this very vividly. A bunch of police officers came to my school and they dared me not to do drugs. And it turns out I take dares pretty fucking seriously. And so now I don't do drugs. Actually, I did mushrooms for the first time a couple weeks ago. It was pretty fun. That's my report back. Mushrooms are a good time. I was always wary of doing them because people always recommend mushrooms, but no one ever just recommends mushrooms. It always comes with a giant caveat. It's like, mushrooms are great, but make sure you do them right or it could go bad. Like, what do you mean go bad? Oh, it's a waking nightmare. Oh, just the worst thing the human brain can experience. But anyway, just don't do that, right? I was like, well, how do I do them right? It was like, well, make sure that you're in a good headspace and just do it with a bunch of friends. It's like, wait a minute, are you telling me in order to enjoy mushrooms, I need to have good mental health and friends? If I had either of those, I probably wouldn't even need the mushrooms. Like, what am I running from? I'm happy to report it was a good time. I just giggled a lot. Like, I felt like I could have driven home safely, but if a cop did pull me over, I would ask to play with his handcuffs. That kind of. What was that? Yeah. I don't know why. I said yeah, like I heard it. I didn't hear it. I don't really do drugs, but I'm very super pro like legalization. I think most people are, right? Like, I don't like the negative propaganda about drugs, but I am scared of like coke. I would never do cocaine. Like a lot of comics do cocaine. It's scary because people are putting fentanyl in the cocaine. Do you guys know about fentanyl? It's like the truffle oil of drugs, right? It's like a little bit goes a long way, right? But it's scarier than that because you don't even notice it when it's in there. That's how scary it is. Like, here's a sentence no one has ever said. Hey, is there fentanyl in it? You're dead before you get the last word out. That's how scary fentanyl is. But you gotta legalize drugs so people don't die of fentanyl accidentally, right? I read this article once, like the way people write about drugs, like that's where all the anti-drug propaganda is. Like I read this article, there's like a police drug bust in the Bronx, and they recovered 5 kilos of fentanyl, and the article said, that's enough to kill over 2 million people. Okay, so like, what happens if you give it to 10 million people? Oh, they all have a really good time. Let's do that, right? Choose a bigger number. You chose 2 million, no one said that. That's just a number you pulled out of thin air. What I'm hearing is the lesson from fentanyl is share, right? That's the lesson, that's a takeaway from it, right? I read the article, they said that every year heroin laced with fentanyl is responsible for over 10,000 fatal overdoses. That's the expression they used, fatal overdoses. I read the whole article top to bottom. No mention of all the just the right doses, right? Are you telling me nobody ever nails it? There's other kinds of doses besides fatal over. There's a lot of good doses out there. I'm not talking about. But no, then you gotta, they keep drugs illegal and then you need cops to enforce them. I don't like cops. Do you guys like cops? Are you? This might be an iffy bit, but go ahead. Here's what I think is the problem with cops. I don't think they really understand their job in society. Like during all the BLM stuff and all the riots and everything, I saw this video of some cop. She was like, when I step outside the door each morning, my #1 job is to make sure I get home safe each night. No, it isn't. That's not your job. Your job isn't to make sure you get home safe at night. It's to make sure I get home safe at night. Anyone can say that about any job. Oh, I'm a spinal surgeon. My job is to make sure I get home safe at... No, everyone wants to live by the end of the day. What do you do during the day? Like, as a comic, I can't be like, my job is to make sure I have fun up here. No, it's not. You guys have to enjoy it too. It'd be crazy if I didn't consider you guys. Here's what cops are, and they may not want to hear it, but here's what cops are. They're rodeo clowns for the general public, right? If someone starts attacking me, their job is to be like, hey, over here, and you shoot at them, right? Don't shoot at me, shoot at them, right? That's what they're there for. They have vests. That's why they have the vest. And by the way, aim for the vest. If you have to shoot, aim for the vest. But here's the thing. I'm not saying it's okay when cops get shot. What I'm saying is, it's better than when I get shot. That seems obvious. That seems like a very obvious solution to the problem. Speaking of Black History Month, did you guys celebrate? How'd you guys celebrate? Continuing to not do anything? What'd you say?
Staying black.
Staying black? Good for you. I don't know if you're black. Didn't sound black, but maybe. I don't know. That's a ballsy move if you're not. Here's a fun fact I learned during Black History Month. Not a fun fact, it's a horrible fact. But did you guys know that Martin Luther King's mother was also assassinated? Isn't that great? 6 years after he was murdered, his mother was also murdered. Which seems like, if a famous person dies and someone in their immediate family also dies, that seems like something we should know. She was killed by a black Israelite. Do you guys know about, I don't know if you guys have black Israelites down here. Do you guys know about who they are? Basically, the black Israelites are black people who think that they're the original Jews. Which, as a Jew, do black people need to be the best at everything? Right? They dominate everything. Tennis, golf. Leave us Judaism at least, right? But I was reading up about black Israelites, and it's fascinating to me because think about this timeline. Black Israelites were formed in the US in the 1880s. Think about that timeline. Imagine 20 years after slavery being like, hey, let's give this Jew thing a try. Right? This might work out for us. It doesn't. It's not a good move. It's lateral, if anything. Right? 20 centuries of time. Yeah, people get, I like talking about race a lot. People get pretty touched about it. Especially the way, how you speak about it too. I have this black friend for the purpose of this next joke, and he's always, he's one of these guys, he's like, oh, white people can never say the N-word. That's his, he's very adamant, white people under no circumstances can never say the N-word. And I was talking to him about it, it's like, okay, but what if someone's part black? Can they say that? And he said, yeah. Which doesn't make, that's just the one drop rule. That's a racist policy from the Reconstruction era, right? It doesn't make any sense. Like, here's what the rule should be. If you really think a person's whiteness affects whether or not they can say the N-word, here's what the rule should be. Everybody gets to say the N-word, but you only get to say as much of the word as you are black. I think that's fair. Whatever percentage black you are, that's how much you get to say. So for example, if you're half black, you get to say half the word. Now here's my advice. Go with the second half. Because the first half on its own sounds worse, I'll be honest. It sounds a lot worse. And if you're light-skinned and someone calls you out on it, you can be like, oh no, I wasn't saying it, I'm just chilling, right? You can play it off, it's totally cool. I think that's what makes Eminem such a great rapper, is he doesn't even use the word. How does that not automatically make him the greatest rapper of all time? He has one less word that he can use, compared to every other rapper. There are rappers who would have no career without that word, and he can't even use it, so he has to sing about killing his mom, right? And that's what makes him such a great performer. I think it's weird the way people talk about race nowadays. I think what's weird is we apply modern race sensibilities to history. It's very weird. And I think we apply it to like Hitler, it becomes weird. Like for instance, like we always talk about like diversity and representation, but think about this, like Hitler wants to install Aryan supremacy on the planet, and he invades Poland, becomes a world war, right? You have the Allies and the Axis. Who are the Allies? It's the US, Russia, and the UK. And then who are the Axis? It's Germany, Japan, and Italy. Now from modern perspectives, doesn't it seem like the Axis is way more diverse? It almost looks like Hitler dropped the ball a little bit, right? If you're Hitler, you're meeting with your top lieutenants, like, hey, we're gonna need some help in the war. It's like, oh, let's call the Japanese. Really? You don't wanna try Sweden first? See what they're up to? And who else do we need? Let's get the filthiest people in Western Europe, right? You think Hitler liked Italians? Of course he did. I'm from Jersey, I hate them. Disgusting, self-human monsters, that's what I think. boo, boo you. That's how they communicate, monosyllabic nonsense. But you gotta stay informed about history. The Holocaust Museum is a good place to take it. It's also a little bit of break. It's a great place to break up with someone is the Holocaust Museum. Because if they start crying, nobody stares. Right? They just leave you alone and say, oh, she just found out about Auschwitz for some time, right? People give you your privacy. But, how do you guys, I wasn't really raised Jewish, I don't think, not very much. Like, I went to Hebrew school till 2nd grade, and then my parents pulled me out because the Hebrew school we went to raised the tuition. That's true. Like, my parents ended my Jewish education, but they did it in the Jewiest way. Which you gotta respect. You gotta respect that a little bit. I don't know, I think all our education is kind of wrong. I think sex education in this country is pretty bad. They don't really teach sex, right? Here's all they taught me in sex ed, was they taught me how to put on a condom and then how to raise a baby. And like, you missed most of it. You haven't taught me sex at all. If you signed up for flying lessons and all they showed you was how to take off and how to eject from your seat in the case of emergency, you're like, I don't know how to fly a fucking plane. I'm gonna crash this fucker. But they don't teach you how to fuck in school. It's crazy. They don't teach you anything. They don't teach you how to eat pussy, right? No one teaches you that, right? Which, by the way, not difficult, right? You know what I never understood was that cliche. You know that trope in like sitcoms and comedies, like, oh man, can't find the clit. It's not like a million places it could be, right? Wherever you look straight ahead and then upward, you'll find it. It's there. It's in the vicinity. You'll get to it eventually. They don't teach you anything useful in sex ed. They don't teach you how to choke, which turns out to be a way bigger part of sex than I thought it was going to be. When I was a kid, I didn't know I was going to have to choke some of these whores, but apparently that's a big part of sex. Some of these bitches need to be choked, right? And they don't teach you how to do it. They don't teach you how to constrict the airflow by making sure you don't crush the larynx, right? There's a whole art to it. There's a science to choking women, and no one teaches you. And it's not like they don't have their tools. They have a CPR dummy in health class. Just use it for that. Teach me on the dummy. That's how you get it. The only new thing they added to sex ed was consent, right? Which I thought went without saying, but apparently they really need a hammer home. You gotta ask for consent first, right? Which would be weird. That'd be like if they made new history books that are like, by the way, the Nazis were bad. It's like, oh, I don't know, we're passing judgment. It's like we're reading up on history. I'm married, which is pretty nice. I think that's good. I know I didn't sell it with the tone, but it's pretty fun. I like it. A lot of young people, I think, are dissuaded from getting married. Because we didn't grow up with like, all the media we saw for marriage was always negative. Every sitcom character, every movie, there's always a dumb guy who's getting engaged, and his best friend's this dumb bro guy who's like, yo man, why are you getting married? You guys get divorced, she gets half your stuff. It's like, yeah, that's a negative way of thinking about it. You gotta think positively. Think about it like this. If my wife dies, I get all of her things, right? She has nicer stuff than me. It's a fair deal. My wife and I, we met in law school. I'm a lawyer, by the way. We met in law school. You know what's weird when you start law school? Is even though you don't know anything about the law, people you haven't talked to in years will reach out of the blue with a problem. Like someone you haven't talked to in 10 years will call you and be like, hey man, what do you know about DUIs? I don't know. I'm gonna guess not as much as you do right now. I'm gonna guess whatever happened in the last 5 days that made you call me with that question, you know. Is that how you think they start law school? Is with DUI classes? You don't think we might ease into the Constitution first? You think that we start that way? You guys ever see those signs on the highway that says like buzz driving is drunk driving? It's like, no it isn't. That's why it's a different word. 40 years ago, some alcoholic was getting nagged by his wife, and she's like, "You're drunk," and he's like, "I'm not drunk, I'm buzzed." And we were all like, "That guy nailed it." That is exactly the situation we're in, right? I'm straight, but I'll be honest. Gay sex seems like the most fun two people can have. I think it's the most, not just two dudes, two people. Most fun is gay sex is number one. Number two is seesaw, right? That's second on the list. And number three is those old tiny hand cars that hobos used to use on the railroads. Those are the three most fun things you and another dude can do. And you guys stop judging on it. That's it for me. You guys are doing so much fun. Thank you very much.
Ilya Laksin, everybody. Ilya Laksin.